Cheers, my loves. I hope that all of you are doing really well. And in this video, we're going to talk about men and loyalty. Are all high value men womanizers? Are they dogs, and should you just accept it? Because if you don't, they'll simply find someone else who does. There's plenty of girls out there to find after all. Alright, so there's a few ways that I want to look at this. I want to look at this in three ways because those are usually the ways in which it's examined. I want to briefly mention biology, I want to look at the societal pressure and the social aspects of it, and I want to look at energy. So when it comes to biology, the argument is made that men are supposed to spread their seed, and that there's supposedly this one man who's supposed to take over and inseminate as many women as he can, because obviously this way he is going to have more offspring, which are going to be weaker and produce genetic mutations as they have to create offspring among themselves. That is also why nature created an equal amount of men and women. No, the reality of the differences between the reproduction costs between men and women is something that shows that the woman is supposed to be the gatekeeper. The woman is the one that's supposed to be the more selective one. And the men are kind of supposed to cast their dice, if you wish. That is why it is in their nature, in their biology, to chase, to pursue, to conquer, to achieve, to overcome challenges and things like that. And I'm not saying that men are supposed to be strictly monogamous, that they can only bond to one partner for the rest of their life. No, this isn't true either. But neither is it true this idea that the sliver of relatively psychopathic, narcissistic men, some of whom belong to, let's say, the music industry, some of whom belong to the movie industry, and they're teaching other people that their traumas, their wounding is what is cool, what is alpha, part of what makes them successful, and how other boys should be. And this is simply not true. Now, I want to look at the other couple of arguments which actually talk as to why I think in more detail this kind of behavior takes place, and not necessarily with high value men who are much less prone to it, but more like kind of slightly above average guys, if you wish. Sorry, I know that hurt a lot of people to hear that. I'm not personally attacking anybody. I'm not saying that if you're going for a hoe phase, if you are trying to engage in hookup culture and prove how desirable you are because you live in a society which almost demands it from a guy, I'm not trying to qualify you as slightly above average here or give you any kind of stigma. It's just a reference point. Alright, so going back into that, imagine when a girl is growing up, right? She doesn't have those expectations. You don't see her peers, her parents coming to her and being like, you really need to put those notches on your bedpost or you're gonna look bad in the eyes of your peers. This is something that men hear. This is something that boys hear a lot more than girls do. They need to prove their desirability. They need to prove to themselves and to society how women are willing to be with them, how women covet them, how women desire them, how they're champions, how they're in a way finding their position in a hierarchy while they're still not looking for something serious, still not looking for a relationship as somebody who is above most men or who is above the average man. And in that sense, I'm going to say that what's wrong about this is that some cultures have taken this too far, to a point where instead of a woman taking a look at this kind of behavior and saying, you know, actually this is okay as a phase, but in the long run it's disrespectful, it's misogynistic, it's disloyal, and the kind of guy who engages in this behavior is not the kind of guy that I want. But I do feel like instead we sent out this message to women where we said, no. Sexual revolution and everything. This behavior is absolutely fine and really cool, and instead of feeling like you're being disrespected by it, you're gonna even out the playing field by acting in exactly the same way. And because these kind of disagreeable feminist women were pushing forward this movement in combination with that sliver of wounded alpha males that have a little bit of psychopathy to them, what we ended up with is brainwashed women. Women who are taught that instead of pointing out the obvious, they should act like they're the same as men. And not only are they the same as men, they're the same as men with personality disorders. So that is potentially problematic. And now I want to look at it from a different level too. I want to look at it from an energy level. So from an energetic standpoint, none of us are islands unto ourselves. And just having people in our vicinity, just having neighbors, just having people that we pass by in the street, like their energy brushes against our energy. We don't even need to touch in order for kind of that to happen. And when somebody's thinking about you, they're sending you energy. They can send you positive or negative energy. And if it's negative, sometimes you can transmute it and just turn it into energy that you can use. And sometimes it can very directly and very negatively affect you. And if it's positive energy, that it brings out in you positive qualities and forces you and empowers you. And what a relationship effectively is it's a mastermind. Like you will see a lot of men choose women not necessarily who are the best candidates in and of themselves, but they're the ones who contribute most to the mastermind. They're the ones that have the cleanest vision of him as the most loved, the most capable, the most heroic, the most incredible. And knowing that he is entering that kind of mastermind with somebody who so unconditionally loves him, so unconditionally believes in him, who doesn't have that strong and processed shadow, that unpredictability, that hatred that might at one point, that narcissism that one might at one point end up directed at him, is actually very, very potent. You will see that married men tend to be more wealthy, more successful, more happy than their counterparts, men in relationships as well. And that's just taking the average woman. If you take a woman who is very connected, who has a stronger than average ability to multiply whatever she is given, to connect to her source, to her heart, to her sexual energy, then she can completely change the destiny of a man within that mastermind. It's like pouring one water and pouring another water together and seeing what you get. Or who said that? I forget. This isn't my thought. This is someone else that I'm quoting here. So basically, when you bring these two energies together, you create something different, a third entity onto itself. And there's no such thing as casual intimacy, because there's nothing casual in intimacy, because the kind of energy exchange that takes place there is very potent and very powerful. And you can potentially create soul ties. You can potentially create energetic bonds for life. There is a liquid exchange at the end of the day that is taking place as well. And so men who go through that conquest phase, a little bit of feeling, pull away, conquest phase, a little bit of feeling, pull away, they're creating soul tie after soul tie after soul tie. And those soul ties can be detrimental, or they can feed them. They feed them in the case where the girl basically was more attached than them. She had more hopes than them, so she will keep sending energy their way, and they for some period of time will be able to feed on that energy and to use that energy. And a man may face the decision where he has the option to create some of these superficial soul ties with girls who are basically more invested in him and are more attached to him, and still strongly in their youth, fertility, abundance, sexuality, connected to their heart, maybe connected to their spirituality, and are sending that more wholesome energy his way, rather than enter the mastermind of a relationship where he couldn't be parasitic to the same extent. And he couldn't be usually parasitic to the same extent there for two reasons. One is a mastermind with one person requires a certain level of intimacy. The person is going to get to know you a lot better. And there's a lot of men who know that within that context of intimacy, they have a lot less to offer, a lot less to be admired for, because their trump card, let's say, is their sexuality. their emotional detachment and a kind of cool attitude, popularity that they bring to the table, the game that they bring to the table. But if somebody actually gets to know them better as a human being, they will not be able to admire them to the same extent. Now, this is a wounding and a fear that almost all of us have. Almost all of us, especially men, are scared of intimacy to one extent or another, because we're afraid that it will take away our authenticity, that in order to have the same amount of chemistry, in order to receive the same amount of interest, of desire, of idealization, we're going to have to wear a mask, and we're going to have to pretend to be somebody that we're not. Because what happens in that context is that at some point you have to transition from that phase of idealization or mutual idealization to that phase with less idealization, but where you become a team. It's like a dance. You've been going to the dance floor and you've been dancing with this partner who discovers how cool and sexy you are, and that partner who discovers how cool and sexy you are. But at one point, you find the appropriate partner for your level, for your taste, for everything. And you say, this partner is going to know that I'm not perfect. This partner is going to know all of my flaws, all of my missteps, all of my misproportions. But I'm still going to bet on them, because together we're going to be able to grow and improve and create a dance that is so amazing and so worth it, compared to these little encounters that I'm having with new people that I'm impressing with exactly the same moves over and over and over again. It takes courage, it takes valiance, it takes bravery to let go of that superficial idealization and to bet on something deeper. But that something deeper is what at the end of the day gives you that sense of belonging, of meaning, of purpose, of true connection, of truly being respected by someone. Look at the difference between new money and old money. New money feeds on the superficial connections. It feeds on these vampirical kind of energy ties in order to sustain these false self-concepts, and old money doesn't. Old money is confident enough in itself, is established enough to say, as a team, we're going to be more powerful. And when that person who is ready to open up that way is looking for a teammate, because it's going to be a much more fulfilling, enriching game that they play together, they're going to be selective as any woman. And they're going to have, if they're truly a high-value man, a rare man, they're going to have a lot of trouble finding a woman who is suitable, because their standards are going to be a lot higher than the standards of an average guy, who can find average girls all over the place. And consider, for example, Cleopatra as a perfect case. Now, unlike some people who examine her these days, I will say that I have no doubt that she was very, very beautiful and very, very sexually attractive as a woman. But I think that the reason that she got such an engagement from Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, such a positive ownership of her, is because she was a perfect playmate for them. They played the same game. They spoke the same language. They were after the same self-concepts within the mastermind. And that was a glue that nobody else could compete with. All right, cheers, my loves. So no, to sum this up, no. High-value men, when they're capable of not succumbing to social pressures, because they already know that they can get a ton of women that are usually beneath them if they wish to do so, and that doesn't bring them lasting fulfillment. And if they're capable of emotional intimacy, what they're looking for is a healthy mastermind that is going to potentiate them for the rest of their lives. They're not looking for vampirical energy ties. Cheers, and I wish you all a beautiful day. Bye.